إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Dear brothers and sisters, we always begin with praise and gratitude. We have been blessed with so many favors and blessings. We are living in the mercy of our beloved Creator and Provider and Maintainer. And so we should wake up in the morning with praise and gratitude. We should, after eating a meal, have praise and gratitude. And this should become a lifestyle. We seek His guidance so that we can properly live that lifestyle. And we seek His help as we deal with and struggle with things in life. And we ask His forgiveness when we come up short and make mistakes. I bear witness that there is no deity and nothing worthy of worship other than God alone. And Muhammad was His final servant and messenger He sent, completing the Abrahamic covenant that came long before him, establishing the city of Mecca. Today I want to really focus on the generality of Islam as it relates to our specific reality here in the mosque and as individuals and families. The concept of responsibility is something that you find from a very young age. When you're a little kid, your parents are expecting you to clean up after yourself. You have to start to fold some laundry. You have to put your dishes away. You start going to school. You will have some work to do. You will have some homework. Responsibility is intertwined with life. And the failures of life are people who do not take responsibility over their life. And so in Islam we have the concept of responsibility very much emphasized in various ways. The first is obviously this whole reality of Islam is hanging in the balance. Basically what that means is that we are all consciously aware of the moral implications of cause and effect. And because we're aware of that and we have a role in it, we are responsible. We will be asked. We will be held accountable for the decisions we made in our life. And so that all is rooted in the human nature. إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. All of existence, all of creation was given a certain moment of consciousness by its Creator. And He asked everyone, who will carry the big trust, the great trust, the amana, right? All of creation said, that is a scary thing. I will be responsible for my life and I will be accountable for what I've done. I'll rather just be part of your beauty and your mercy and not take part in this. Except one entity, this entity called the human being. The human being decided, I think I can handle this. So the idea of the need for control, the desire for self-awareness is part of the human reality. And so in our reality as human beings, we have taken upon ourselves various responsibilities. We are living in a world of responsibility. And so if we fulfill it according to the divine model, what is the divine model? Selfless compassion. If Allah was not selfless and compassionate, nothing would exist. Nothing would exist. It is by His very nature to be selfless and compassionate and loving and concerned about the need for others and their ability to do what they want to do. That is how He decided things would be. So we're a part of that, right? When we become selfish, and not looking out for the well-being of others, not looking to be part of the whole of creation, fulfilling our responsibilities as prescribed by the maker of existence, then we see all the problems of the world. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. He said, إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. Those who do not properly carry this great trust and responsibility of being selflessly compassionate to others, then there will be lots of oppression, lots of criminal behavior, lots of ignorant and foolishness. And that's what we see. We see it all over the world. Here in America, in the political cycle, we see all over the Muslim world great disasters happening because of people abusing power for selfish reasons. Right? And that's what the whole problem is. Selfishness. Not seeing ourselves as part of a human family, part of the divine purpose, which is to be part of the Rahmah, be part of Rahman's existence. Right? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. That's the whole purpose. That's what we're here for. If we don't find ourselves serving others and looking at ourselves as part of a greater whole, treating others as we want to be treated, the golden rule, which is intrinsically part of the concept of ihsan and rahmah and birr and all of these beautiful concepts, then we will have failed. So, the word amana is where this comes from. This comes from the root of amina, which means to make something safe and secure. What are we making safe and secure? The same word for faith comes from this, iman. Same root as amana. It means to secure your soul, to make your soul safe in where it came from and where it is best to go, back where it came from. Because the ruh min amrillah. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has a special touch in every soul that exists. It's His property. It's our trust that we are carrying, right? And so we have to fulfill that by seeking to live His will and not our own. So, the next concept is al-mas'uliyah. It's mentioned in many ayahs and many hadith. Mas'uliyah. It's another way to say being responsible. But the Arabic word, it makes it from what we call ism maf'ul min sa'al, right? The one who will be asked about it, right? Some people think my responsibility is my business. It is not. It is not your business. Every responsibility is between one and another. It always is. There's no such thing as an individual responsibility. You see this collectiveness we're talking about here? Somebody says, is he preaching socialism? No, this is Islam 101, basic stuff, right? We are collectively responsible for each other, right? And so, first and foremost, we are responsible to the creator of and owner of everything. Then we're responsible to our family, our neighbors, our fellow citizens of where we live. We're responsible. We will be asked about all of that, right? And so, in Islam, the taklif, to be carrying responsibility, to have responsibility over something you have been given authority, right? It comes from this same concept. And so when we become around the age of puberty or 15 years old, we become responsible for our lives and our souls and our claim to Islam. And the only way we'll be truly fulfilling this responsibility is that Islam is not something inherited from parents. Islam is something that one embraced from knowledge and soul searching in the evidence from which it was founded. So the foundations of faith need to be nurtured in order for this trust and this responsibility to be properly carried out. So we're told in the Quran very clearly about this concept of being accountable, to being asked about what we've done. فَوَرَبِّكَ لَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. And by your Lord who created you and provided for you and sustained you, He says, I will ask every single soul about what they used to do, the decisions they used to make, right? We have a spiritual worth that we are accumulating in this life. We do not know when our time will come, as we saw with our dear beloved brother, inshallah, we will pray on shortly. You know, we don't know when it's going to come. But what we do know is when it comes, we will have a scale of spiritual worth based upon sincerity and devotion to the divine, and the things that we did that is in service to that. And so our scholar said the priority, a lot of people think religion means how much Quran you recited or read, how many prayers you made, right? When in fact they said the type of worship, the type of devotion that helps others is much more important and more beneficial than the one that simply helps yourself, right? And that is how the golden era of our history was seeing things and contributing and producing for the world. So we need a revival to get back to that. We're responsible for our words. Everything we say. مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Every single word you say, there are angels that will write down what you have said. And that word has implications. Best case scenario is that you're consciously aware of what you're saying and why you're saying it, and how that might affect those around you. Right? Because you may have a good intention, you may be saying something that's true, but because you are not sensitive or understanding how others around you feel about that, or how they will take it, you will still cause harm. Right? Trust me, I know this myself. Trying to talk to so many different people all the time is very difficult, but we have to be working on it. We have to be trying to help make our discourse better. Worst case scenario, someone uses harsh language, foul language, backbiting, slandering, lying, cheating. All of that oppression, because we didn't understand our responsibility, the trust we were entrusted with when we were born from our mother, we will be accountable for every word that comes out. It's not just that. We should see that this whole life and everything that we have authority over is a trust. That's why he said, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. He said, don't go around talking about and representing knowledge that you're not certain about, that you are not grounded in. This is where, as a community, in order to properly grow, there is a reoccurring concern in the spiritual path in our community. And that is the usage of the term haram. The haram word is a big, serious word. When you say haram, you are signing off on behalf of God and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is the absolute reality. And if you are not aware of differences of opinion, or different scholarly interpretations, or that even though you are correct, and this is something found in the Quran and the Sunnah, but you're not paying respect to what God paid respect to in His final revelation to men, which is the process of spiritual growth and development. What are we talking about? We're talking about someone who walks in the door. If you start throwing haram at them, and this is their first time to come into a mosque, a place which was meant for spiritual development, you might think, I'm establishing the deen of Allah. You might think like that. But if you look at the seerah and the Quran in Mecca versus Madani, you will find that in fact Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left many Sahaba, including Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, drinking alcohol for many years in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Why is that? Because people need to grow and develop. And everybody has their own phase and stage. Some have more knowledge and practice than others. It is of the utmost importance as a community in our growth and development, in our responsibility towards growing this community, to always look out for the one who's on the lower level, one who's just coming to learn, one who's just coming to taste spirituality for the first time. If something we said about our understanding of establishing the religion, improving the religion, makes someone leave and not come back on the Day of Judgment, even though what we said is true, it's in the Quran, and all of that, we will be responsible, right? Some people will think, that's what the Quran says. It is my job to enforce. No, it is not your job. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ told the men, when the guy had a major injury on his head, and then he was needing to wake up and take a shower for the ritual purity, he asked his companions, He said, what should I do? I'm pretty sure the water from the well this early in the morning is freezing cold. And that might cause shock, and I might be, we've heard stories about people dying. One brother said, the Quran says, and he's right, that you have to make ghusl. Guy made ghusl, and he died. They came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ said, you killed him. Now here's an interesting point. This person was very empowered with his very simplistic face value understanding of a ayah in the Quran, which is real and carries real teaching. But because he didn't understand the big picture of religion and the concept of spirituality as a holistic, easygoing, tolerant, very rich tradition of understanding circumstances and case scenarios before you apply something, that's what happened. So we have to be careful about the way we represent knowledge. And it says, وَالسَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادِ. We are responsible for our eyes. We are responsible for our eyes. I get time and time again, people ask me, or people, I hear it, I'm watching Game of Thrones, I'm watching this, I'm watching the MMA and the boxing. And then the brother said, I told him, brother, are you realize that you're entertaining yourself? We're not in the Hunger Games. That whole series was void of God, if you remember closely. The term God and the concept of spirituality, void. So now people go to it entertaining themselves with bloodshed and death and murder. Just to enjoy that. And that is absolutely not a way of a believer. Someone said, yeah, but Imam, it's not a big deal. This movie that came out, Concussion, is starting to give a new light to what it means to watch football. A believer doesn't say, well, I've been watching football my whole life and they look all fine to me. Yeah, when you have a multi-billion-dollar system trying to cover up the major harm that's going on, you have to start to be willing, because of a spiritual responsibility to your eyeballs that God gave you, to be willing to give something up for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. That means you're truly a Muslim, right? If your dedication is to your culture, which defined football as fun and enjoying as entertainment, then your dedication is to people who are injuring each other, right? I'm not making a rule. I'm not saying haram. I'm just saying, you notice I didn't use that word. You notice? I made sure I'm not using that word. You understand? And I'm on the member as an Imam, right? Much less somebody else, right? You see what I'm saying? I'm saying take a look at what you're doing, right? The guy from the MMA match in Ireland died. He was in it. He was in a match and then was killed from a sanctioned, organized, mixed martial arts competition. This happened last month, a couple months ago. This is serious stuff. Our eyes were responsible. Why would we sit there and watch something and make that our entertainment, which we know is filled with immoral themes and messages? Why? Like my kids ask me, well, why can't we watch this and that? And I say, it's not moral. And then one brother was telling me, he was like, yeah, but now I'm 20, I can watch rated R. No, there's no limit. Okay, now I've reached this age, so now I'll watch immorality. I will watch things that are immoral. That becomes now acceptable. At no point does it become acceptable to entertain yourself with evil, right? So this is where you're responsible for your eyes. There's lots of ways to have fun. I watch movies, I watch programs, but I'm very careful. Your ears. A lot of the music nowadays, I'm going to say most of it, there's not benefit in there. There's lots of immoral stuff. And when you start promoting, all music is haram, this is the majority opinion, you're saying something true, but you're becoming irrelevant to a whole generation of youth. At least help them to find some sort of musical outlet that has some decent meaning in it and encourage them towards it. They're already listening. You will not stop them by giving them your fatwa. The word haram is not going to change what they're doing. You have to understand reality. A lot of people that have religiosity are living in some personal idealistic world that doesn't exist. Their own little utopia, the perfect world of how things should be. That doesn't exist. Even some Sahaba fell into zina and things like this. Some people are saying, oh, let's go back. No, every generation had its shortcomings. Of course, the Sahaba as a generation are the best generation, the most spiritually inclined, right? So we have to be responsible for our eyes and our ears and our mind. The social concept is very clear. Prophet ﷺ, he said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ فَمَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Every single one of you, Every one of you is a shepherd, responsible for a flock of sheep. And you will be asked about how you dealt with those you had authority over. Every one of us has been given some responsibility. So that's why after the hadith, he talked about the leader of a nation, right? Responsible. And that's why now with secularism, because people don't feel responsible to God, who are they responsible to? Capitalism, money. They're responsible to money and how we can make the most money and the interests of wealth and greatness and power. That is what they are feeling responsible to. And so that's why they do what they do. We have a higher standard than that. We represent to be responsible to God who created us. So then a father, a mother, responsible for their family and their children. It starts there. At the home, we need to develop a moral awareness, a spiritual... Right now, the way religiosity is amongst most people across the world is, you go maybe one day of the week, fulfill your religious obligation or duty, or you celebrate a holiday. That's religion. No. Deen, it is a way of fulfilling a debt. Min dana, yudinu, dain. We've been given, entrusted a soul with a mind and eyes and ears and wealth and children and a community and a responsibility to present the world with God's message. This is huge stuff we're talking about. If we're not focusing on that at home, we have many kids that really just don't have any outlet. It's really important, of the utmost importance, that at the home, this responsibility of, it's not just about getting A's in school and getting a degree and getting a diploma and getting a job and becoming Dr. So-and-so. That is a very secular approach. It is about becoming Abdullah. We want to become the servant of God. That is who we are. That is what we're about. Ya ibadi, O my servants. This is what we should see as our number one top priority. But there are methods and means that are there from the powers that be that are trying to brainwash everybody to discard that which causes everything to function and exist the way it is. And they're trying to make it that they are the ones in control. This is where we need to rethink our priorities. And it goes beyond that. There's an analogy to everything. If you have wealth, if you have anything, you're responsible. In our mosque, for example, we're going to be introducing lots of changes. Why? Because we're trying to grow and progress. The second somebody thinks the way we've been doing things, the way we have, the way things are, is fine and perfect, we don't need to change anything, that is when arrogance has creeped into your heart. Change is part and parcel of growth and development. So we're going to be making a different attitude to the way we see the mosque. Well, right now, most children who come to this mosque, they either see this place as a playground where we just come and play and we just do whatever, and things get broken, stains and messed up walls and all kinds of stuff. Or they see it a place where we're being forced to go because our parents want us to learn these things about religion that we didn't necessarily incline to in the first place. Let's just be honest with ourselves so that we can diagnose the problem and then properly make a solution to it. Because that's not the way it was with the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ took in Ali ibn Abi Talib in his house, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Anas bin Malik, these are not his children. But because he really loved them. It wasn't about rules and regulations. I'm telling you, the whole Meccan period was void of any rules and regulations. We are living in the Meccan style period here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our priorities need to be accordingly. Then when the growth and the development has happened, and while that's happening, we can introduce something here and there, and it will be welcomed because it will be understood, it will be seen the value, and the human, loving, compassionate connection will have been built. And this is how we take responsibility for our community. We have the biggest responsibilities to properly convey Islam as individuals and as a community. Right now, the way things are, it's very difficult for us because we need to do more And we need to feel, when we hear this person said Muslims are all this, they're all terrorists, they're all this, evil plots and plans to take over and all of that. We should not say, oh, those crazy, ignorant, stupid people, we should think, what have I not done so that these people don't know the beauty of my faith? This is how we should feel. This is responsibility. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to facilitate us in that. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. In conclusion, it starts with the family. The family has to be that unconditional love we talked about a few weeks ago. That supportive, compassionate, not harsh, judgmental, or abusive in any way, shape, or form. Particularly in religion. I mean, we're going to have to set discipline in general, teach rules and responsibility and things like that in our home. People have to fulfill certain responsibilities. That's a human reality. But when it comes to religion, we need to be super positive, super easygoing, super understanding, super flexible, so that people will embrace it, not so that they'll feel forced into it. It starts at the home, but it has to be here. We have to, before we ever go to the mosque, for many times in a row, for maybe years in a row, tell our kids, this is the house of God. We're going to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the place that was built for the sole purpose of raising the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His remembrance and His focus. It is a special, holy, sacred place. We should not just run in there and start playing around. We should have organization. We should have policies. We should have structure and discipline as an administration and as a community. That has to become, it has to be a top priority for us to truly fulfill our responsibility. The only way anyone was ever successful at anything was through a simple formula. Passionate, hard work towards a principled vision. In my 7 years as an Imam here in Florida and Charlotte, and for the last year and a half here, I'm certain that if everybody can agree that we're all going to passionately work hard on a principled vision that is relating to the reality we live in right here, not trying to recreate a reality somewhere else, and we should be honest with ourselves in looking at the realities of somewhere else. Is it the brilliance of Islam shining its beautiful light and everybody feels so comforted by the beauty of faith and religion, or do we see lots of problems throughout the Muslim world? We have to be very honest with ourselves. We have an opportunity and a freedom here to rethink and reestablish within Quran and Sunnah. Nobody's telling anybody to compromise their faith. See, that's what the shaitan, this person now is American reform. The shaitan whispered that. No, we are using reform according to the vast, beautiful system that is in our faith in order to properly assess what is wrong with the Muslim world. What is wrong with the ways and priorities we got used to that has led to the situation we see ourselves in collectively? And how can we fix that? All Mujaddideen did it that way. Every single one of them. And many of them were met with immediate, how dare you change anything? How dare you question anything of the great work that we've done? And we cannot do that. We have to think progressively in growing and developing. If we do that, then we will succeed. That's a four-pronged model we have here. Number one, we have to establish the foundations of faith. A lot of people don't really, their faith is weak. They're struggling with just, what it means to believe in the Quran. Do they believe in the whole Quran? Do they believe in the Prophet ﷺ? Who is the Prophet? Who is this person on my declaration of faith? What does that mean? Many people grown up are thinking like this. That's number one. We have to understand what it means to have foundations of faith. What we talked about last week. The foundations. So that some issue that somebody brought up secondary does not ruin our foundation. Number two, understanding. We have to understand our religion properly and deeply, comprehensively. Don't be the guy who said, the ayah says, and then somebody's dead. Because they didn't know the religion is much deeper than one ayah. It's taken as a comprehensive whole. Number three is that we have to have self-esteem. Everyone that's calling themselves Muslim وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. أَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Nobody should feel shy about that. Number one, because you're saying it. I submit to the will of God. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That is a huge, powerful statement. Prolific. To try to hide after saying that is totally going against the concept itself. That's number one. Number two, America is telling you, be proud of your faith. And I promise you, if just everybody here was working on these first three steps, building on their foundations of faith, coming to have a deeper understanding of the religion as a whole, having self-esteem, everybody will start to see Islam as a good thing. Because they will see it, what it is. It's built on these things. And the last thing is service and contribution. We have to see ourselves as responsible to contribute to the world around us so that people say, those people have done something good for society. That's what rahmah is. Rahmah is you have something, whether it be your abilities, your knowledge, your wealth, whatever it may be. You give it to others. You spread that to others. You're not selfish, you're not reclusive, you're not exclusive. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enrich our souls, our minds, and our bodies with His revelation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our hearts to positive change rooted in His revelation. We ask Allah, Ya Allah, please forgive us for any laziness and shortcomings and weaknesses. Ya Allah, facilitate for us a means to be part of our community and to be progressively growing and developing our community. Ya Allah, we ask you to be with us and to send your peace and blessings on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A reminder, we have Ramadan coming up. We have in place a strategic developed program from last year with people who were trained last year who are coming back, and we need people to go ahead and register beforehand so everything's organized and orderly. There is a registration table from 2 to 12 years old for the youth program in Ramadan, which is a set program which gives them knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. They enjoy, they meet Muslim friends, they get attached to the mosque. Their memory of Ramadan is fun related to spiritual growth and development and understanding what Ramadan's all about, right? And that's our program. We need to sign up for that. And then we need supplementary volunteers. People will help our main hired staff that are going to be implementing this. So please, after we pray our janazah, before we go to the burial of our beloved brother, inshallah, please make sure you sign up your kids for this program and make sure that you sign up yourself as a volunteer. It takes a village to raise a child. It is all our responsibility to make sure that our kids have the best place and the most comforting, spiritually enriching place that they could have. Jazakumullahu khair.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Please straighten your row, shoulder to shoulder, fill in the gap. Make sure you fill in one row before you make the work. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Start with the good news. Lots of young brothers and sisters graduating in our community. MashaAllah, mabruk to all the parents and the graduates themselves. And on that same topic, Peace Academy has the senior graduation tomorrow at 6 o'clock, inshallah. And their guest speaker is Dr. Ahmed Khattab, one of us, one of our youth. And so come enjoy his speech tomorrow. He's coming from Chicago to bless this occasion for all the senior graduates of Peace Academy. They put a lot into this, so come. Everybody's invited to come and enjoy the graduation ceremony tomorrow at Peace. On the flip side, we also have some families grieving this past week. Our brother Fahad Abu Anwar passed away in a car accident 2 days ago on the 11th Street. He is, to give some relevance, he is our beloved uncle of Brother Sabah Hammami. Inshallah, we'll pray janazah on him right now. And also, the uncle of Brother Khalid Atta passed away. If you remember, Khalid Atta is the CFO, the past CFO of this masjid. His uncle passed away, and he's requested everybody make dua for him, inshallah. We'll all pray for their maghfirah, inshallah, and Jannah, inshallah. Urdu tafsir will happen tonight at 7:30 p.m. Aza after 8:30. Condolences will be accepted by the family tonight after 8:30, inshallah.
Inshallah, if we can just make rows, inshallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Inshallah, Salat al-Janazah is 4 takbirah. After the first takbirah, we recite al-Fatiha. After the second takbirah, we recite as-Salawat al-Ibrahimiyya that we say at the end of our Salah. And after the third takbirah, we make dua for our beloved brother Abu Anwar, Fahd Basma. And after the fourth takbirah, we make salam. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Inshallah, we'll all be gathering at the graveyard off of 191st and Memorial, inshallah, for the burial, inshallah. If we know, mashallah, this brother had the biggest, most sweetest heart, but if for whatever reason anybody felt anything bad from him, please forgive and overlook him. Mashallah, he was the most innocent, sweet person I knew, mashallah. If he owed anybody anything, any debts, please forgive those debts, inshallah. If not, go ahead and talk to Abu Nur, inshallah.